Hey Matt, um, it was really good seeing your LinkedIn post the other day. You were kind of talking about how you revamped your entire BDR outbound motion, and you were with way fewer people. You were seeing really great results, and I think that's how we got connected. I just saw that and I was like, "Holy shit, this is what everybody needs to be doing right now." I just talked to so many teams which are very bloated, and I think a lot of people are thinking about volume and more headcount instead of thinking about doing the right types of things. And so reached out, and here we are. So appreciate having you on the show today to just share a little bit about your experience and more about what you did, so maybe other people can learn from that.
Yeah, and likewise, excited to be on the podcast and nice to formally meet you. I know we spoke on the phone the other day, but that post was a byproduct of just a couple downturns in the market for us. So we had to let go of some folks, but also we wanted to keep the same level of volume and outcomes from an 11-person BDR team with a 4-person BDR team, including me as a player coach. And I guess how we decided to do this. A lot of VDR work is research, a lot of it is hunting, a lot of it is building lists. Well, how can we build that at a macro level? How can we build bigger lists through automation, through scraping, through Clay, through Zoom Info, through whatever sources that you guys or people may use? Push that through qualification steps, whether that's validation through email, Zoom Info, validating numbers through Titan X, so on and so forth. So building kind of a tiered out approach through scraping, through validation, through SimilarWeb, because for what we do, we're an affiliate management agency. A lot of our qualifications are around online revenue, D2C revenue, website traffic. So to hit those minimums and then tier them to those companies or accounts based off of XYZ, right? So we had a revamp into what type of data and metrics through HubSpot, our closed one verticals, the types of ICP companies that are closing at a rapid pace, whether it's the AOV, whether that's the shorter sales cycle, tiered all that out, and we had some pretty strong results in the first 2 months. We booked 225 meetings as a 4-person BDR team. 63% of those qualified, 80% moved on to a proposal, and then our AE team of 2 closed 45% of those. So pretty gnarly revamp. It's been a lot. We're still building the plane while flying it to this day, but it's been a lot of fun.
That's very cool. Tell me a little bit more about the before, just to set the stage over here. So you had mentioned, hey, market dynamics, macro conditions had changed, just kind of like force your hand at the company in
Mm-hmm.
terms of team size. But talk to me a little bit more about what things looked like before in terms of like team size, what you guys were doing, results you were producing doing that. I just want to kind of like put myself
Yeah.
in those shoes and understand like, hey, does this look okay? And would somebody maybe in those shoes think like, hey, like this is the best we could do?
Yeah. So before we were an 11-person team, we had, the typical day to day was to headhunt 30 accounts, 30 companies, put 4 contacts per company in the sequence, make dials, the typical BDR stuff. The KPIs were 20 meetings booked, 15 meetings held, more so focused on the outcome instead of the pipeline generated, until we got to a point where we needed to make sure that the meetings that we were booking were qualified. Took a more granular focus on the meetings heading to proposal, meetings that were qualified that didn't hit to proposal XYZ. So we were booking, I would say, around 190 as an 11-person team per month.
And 190 to 4 people and 220 something, right? So that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty crazy. And so I imagine that maybe from a leadership perspective, someone looks at this and they're like, oh yeah, like that sounds all right to me. Because you wouldn't have gotten there if that didn't sound all right under different market conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess in the absence of external factors, do you think you would have like really sat down and asked yourselves like the deep, hard hitting questions? Or I'm just curious, like how would a team in that situation without an external push, like push themselves to think carefully about their efficiency?
Yeah, I think it was two-part. We had this external factor, but we also had an internal transition. Our CGO now was really just head of the ops team, wasn't necessarily over the sales side as well. He came in and he's a brilliant mind, and he wanted to automate a lot of things, a lot of the monotonous work that we did. Um, we really look at the overall headcount of the BDRs who was producing top 5, 10 appointment setters, meeting bookers, and we just looked at things from like a macro level to understand how we could make those top performers even better and produce even more, and then see if that sort of transition in their workload, an increase in their workload and volume and efficiency, could maintain and match the level of some of the lower producers. And once we were able to identify that, it made the move a lot more, I would say, a lot more doable, but also easier to wrap our heads around. Kind of a twofold internal transition from, our CGO moving from ops to also overseeing sales, but also the macroeconomics portion of it. And from my point of view as a player coach, it's hard to do both. It's hard to be in the weeds, but also take a step back and see the overall strategy. And I'll be the last person to tell you that I'm a data guy, I'm an automation guy. So that push from him has helped me so much in my career already to think more about how we can do things streamlinable, how we can implement systems and processes to adjust the overall day-to-day workflows of the BDRs.
When you guys first had that conversation, did you do the riff first, automation later, or automation first, riff? Which chicken or egg? Which came first?
It was kind of simultaneous. It was like
Okay.
they all happened in conjunction with each other. And I think it was me trying to, I mean, I'm a creature of habit. So when change occurs, and I think most salespeople are, right? They like to be in their flow. And when change occurred in terms of the day to day, I was a little bit reluctant to change, but it's forced me to grow as not only like a BDR leader, but also as a BDR too, because I have a unique lens of both, both player, but also IC. It's been fun to see all this in action, both from, the data part, but also like the micro in the weeds part.
When you first had that conversation with I'm guessing it stands for Chief Growth Officer,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
CGO, yep. With your CGO, what was it like? How did you decide what you were going to change and what you guys were going to keep the same? Was there a method to the madness in terms of what you would change? Because I imagine there are two parts of this. One part is, okay, where are we most lacking, or where do we have the most like inefficiency? And the second part of this is like, how much of this can we truly automate or improve? Like where is there actual gain to be had
Mhm.
using current technology in 2025?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of the nuts and bolts ironed out from a process and an ICP and a persona perspective. It was more so how do we get more granular on the front end to get more quality prospects in the funnel with a lower head count. So, like I mentioned, I'm not an automation guy. I don't know the first thing about it, but with our chief growth officer and a new kind of repurposed analyst, we were able to do a lot of different things that really I've thought about doing. I just don't have the skill set to do. So to leverage their knowledge and their expertise in the automation aspect has been super key to our business.
What were the first things you decided, like, hey, we need to just stop doing this manually and start automating?
It was more so list building. I think that's a very manual, tedious thing that all BDRs face. And if you can automate that and just have the BDRs focus on actually selling, you're going to get a lot more productivity, but a lot more just quality too, because you can control the list from a leadership perspective more so than you can from a rep to rep perspective. And I think that really helps the reps. They don't have to worry about if this company is going to qualify, if they're going to meet minimums, if they're, the right types of fit, if they're in our market or they're not. Really controlling that from the get-go, it just helps them get to work and do what they do best, which is, book the meetings and build relationships.
And so prior to this, every BDR was kind of, they just had a territory, I imagine, and they were just like hunting within that territory
Yeah.
before you get to like a centralized top-down list.
Correct.
Got it. When it comes to list building, I know that there's some data that is scrapable. There's a bunch of data that isn't.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know if someone's qualified or not until you literally get on the phone with them. In some cases, like you just don't know what's happening internally in the business till you talk to somebody. But how did you decide, hey, this is the stuff that these are like the sort of like key indicators that somebody is a good fit for us? Let's say 40% of those key indicators were scrapable, the others just get on the phone and find out.
Yeah.
How did you go about that process?
Yeah, I think a lot of them have been historical KPIs that we look, even set before I joined the company 6 years ago. So we've had a lot of those ironed out before. We typically look for on ad spend. Can you afford to spend on an additional digital channel to traffic? Can you how much traffic are you getting to your website that we can actually convert and help those conversions, but also increase that traffic? A lot of things that we wouldn't necessarily be able to build out. To your point, we'd have to actually be on the phone, but you can somewhat qualify them through revenue through ZoomInfo or whatever data source that you use. I know it's for us, it's online revenue. So we take a percentage of total revenue from ZoomInfo, allocate that to what the D2C revenue would be. And then website traffic you can scrape. And we have, licenses with similar web that allows us to be able to understand data traffic or website traffic for these companies. But something that is an indicator for us that's like, I guess, more intent without it being intent is that if these companies are active in affiliate, like, do they have an affiliate network already? If you're on their site, do they have an affiliate landing page or an affiliate site to click into? If you're scraping an affiliate network, is that brand going to be inside that network? So that's 50% of the puzzle for us, because we don't have to sell affiliate marketing. We could just sell affiliate management. Whereas if we were to go to a random site, they don't have an affiliate, but they have a bunch of paid media. That's another indicator for us that, hey, they're spending money on media. It might be a good idea for us to prospect them and see if we can do this more on a performance basis than it is more so on a paid basis.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you guys think critically about what are good indicators that somebody's going to be a fit, be qualified for you or not. I think a lot of companies I talk to on a daily basis have never really asked themselves that question. They kind of have a feel for it once they get into a sales cycle, and then they start realizing, hey, we lose a lot of deals which look like this, and then we win
Mm-hmm.
a lot of deals which, to your point, maybe they already have affiliate pages. But that's really information you're not going to get until you look at your close won, close loss data and kind of like work backwards to figure out what are the key indicators that somebody's a good fit. And heck, forget close one, like look at retention data as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like long term, like do they actually stick with you? Maybe you just have like a really good rep who can sell anybody something that they don't need to. So I think that's pretty interesting in terms of just like change. The big change number one was like top down lists instead of reps kind of like I imagine like logging into similar web on a one-off basis for an account and trying to decide, oh, like, do I want
Yeah.
to prospect into this person? And before you know it, they've wasted 10 minutes and then they're like, oh, like, kind of tired right now. I'm going to take a break. Okay. Cool. So that makes a lot of sense. List building. Tell me a little bit more about the other kinds of gains you saw like after list building.
Yeah, I would just say like overall efficiency from the reps. So we used to be like we mentioned earlier in our chat that our reps were booking like 20 meetings a month. Well, like now we had I was able to book 49 meetings 1 month. Another rep was able to book 46 another month. So like the overall increase in efficiency and output, because we're doing things a lot more front loaded, is able to get us a lot more outcomes in the back while still converting at a relatively similar like outreach to book metric and ratio. So kind of front loading everything makes you more efficient, but also gives you more reps on the phone, gives you better leads to contact, whether it's via email, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. But I think, to your point, when you look at an account on similar web with ZoomInfo, it could take you 10 minutes to prospect. Well, if you're doing that manually for 30 accounts or 20 accounts per day, that's over a long period of time. You're just like exhausted and you don't want to do anything. And then it makes picking up the phone a lot but a lot more tedious. Whereas now we can just get an actual flow. And a lot of the day to day for BDRs is like, how can we stay in that flow state for as long as possible without having the information overload that kind of takes you out of rhythm?
Yeah, and we're doing this with our team as well. We just brought in a new BDR, and my number one goal for him is I don't want you spending any time outside of um, calling somebody and like
Yeah.
truly like being on the phone, and sending maybe people like personalized like LinkedIn video DMs, commenting on posts from target buyers, like the human stuff essentially, right?
Yeah.
Everything else, list building to like the things which are very easily automatable, like a lot of email. In fact, like almost all of our email is automated. That kind of stuff, just having a human in the loop doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
At least like today with what we can do with automation and AI. One of the things you had mentioned on the phone was tiering your accounts and how you sort of treated different companies differently based on their tier. I know you had three tiers. Talk to me about where you decide like a tier ends and stops, and how much effort you decide to put into a tier, and like when do your BDR start working on the lower tiers?
Yeah. That's a good question. I try to remember how I stated that on the phone call, but for us, we know that we do really well in the SMB market. Think about it like from a lens of, okay, I have a marketing department, but it's so lean that I don't have the bandwidth to do, social SEO, PPC, affiliate, performance. Like, so they need the help from an outside agency to support all their efforts to be like that external marketing arm for them when it comes to affiliate marketing, whether that's traditional D2C affiliate, whether that's TikTok, Amazon, Walmart, whatever it might be. So there's a lot to focus on. And if you're a team of 1 to 3, it's hard to do everything. Some things on the back burner. So we look at headcount, we look at revenue, we look at if they're in network or not. And in network meaning, do they have an affiliate program or not? So that is an indicator of, for us, okay, they're a tier one company if they have a revenue between $5 to $20 million, if they have a small headcount in marketing, if they have an active affiliate program, that's a tier one account. Tier two could be all of the above without an affiliate program, and they just don't have the effort or the understanding of what affiliate marketing is and what it can do and how it can benefit their company. Tier three is they have decent revenue, decent traffic. They're not in network. It's a tougher sell. It's more educational. So we focus on tier one first, tier two second, tier three. That's sort of like the bottom. I wouldn't say it's the bottom of the barrel, but it's a lesser focus for us because time to book, time to close, it's just a longer sales process.
And how do you get your reps to spend their time on like tier one accounts versus, it sounds like they don't spend any time on tier three accounts, but at least in the first two, yeah.
Yeah. So our reps, I mean, it's for us, it's a little bit easier too because now we've onboarded Titan X, so we're able to see tier one accounts with tier one data for propensity pickup. So we'll focus on those first, and we'll have tier one accounts with propensity pickup who like 5 to 10%. We'll tier those out into to tier two, and then the people that aren't able to that you cannot connect with the phone, they just don't answer the phone. We'll put those into like an email campaign as well. So we're doing a lot of things from an account perspective, but also a content perspective to allow us to build those lists internally. And I'm dedicated to diversifying and spreading out those leads accordingly.
Do the reps touch email themselves, or is email completely automated for you guys?
They do, yeah, but it's more so to oversee, like, just to check to make sure that the title's the right, the company's the right, just a little, I guess, to tokens in HubSpot are correct before they go out.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it's almost like pre-written. Everything's kind of like queued up. It's just more so approvals than anything else.
Correct.
Gotcha. Um, Tell me a little bit more about. So you've seen amazing results. You made these changes. Tell me a little bit more about what's next. Like, are you going to have another sort of moment like you guys did when you went from the 11 to 4 and actually increase output? Like, do you think there's another one of those moments in there for you that you don't know of yet? Or tell me like what you're trying right now.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more moments, and that's not only just like, hey, I'm optimistic. That's also like realistic as well because we're not even scratching the surface on like really dialing in everything, whether that's automation, scraping, list building. We're really fine tuning a bunch of that. I mentioned our data analyst that kind of got repurposed into all things CRM. He's killer, but he has not been entwined with the sales process in the 3 or 4 years that he's been with us. So it's a lot of educating on him on what we need. We actually went through over earlier this week to properly tier out what we're building through Titan Next, through revenue, through titles, through verticals that we've closed the most and closed the fastest. So I would say this is a very iterative process. And the more it changes and evolves, the better that we're going to be. Plus, who knows? We could have 1 to 2 more reps come on in the next couple of months, and then we'll really see this take full shape. So I'm both optimistic, but also realistic that we're not where we need to be yet. But it's going to be really fun when we are.
Awesome. Well, Matt, this was a really great conversation. Tell me a little bit more about if people want to. I know you're big on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
but if people want to find you online and learn a little bit more about how you're thinking about things, what are the ways in which they can reach you or find you?
Yeah, I would say just follow our company page on Advertise Purple on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. I post daily, almost twice a day, just whether it's about Advertise Purple, about sales, about family. I'm big about blending the personal with professional on LinkedIn. So I'm not really active on any of the socials. If it's Instagram, my wife just posts pictures of the kids and the family, and I'll just like be a collaborator on that. Yeah, I'm mostly on LinkedIn solely.
Amazing. Thanks for joining the show and looking forward to hearing about your next big moment.
Appreciate that. Thank you.